Hi everyone, I'm here with Patrick Sullivan, CEO of JigSaw Health. It sounds so important.
I know it's not. It really isn't.
There's a lot of fun happening over at JigSaw. There's always the Funny Friday videos. If you guys don't subscribe to JigSaw's, Facebook and or their newsletter, you totally should because you will not want to miss it. I actually did a video with them last Christmas, not this Christmas, the Christmas before. It was really entertaining.
I ended up with needles in my face thanks to Dr. Emily Park. It was actually my first time and quite gentle.
Yes. You have to see the video to get the full effect.
We'll have to link to that in the show notes.
We will. Okay. Awesome. So I brought Patrick here to my office today so we could talk about the magnesium study that you guys did. It's nicknamed the Scottsdale Magnesium Study.
Correct.
Of course, JigSaw Health is huge on magnesium. That's what the company was originated on, and that's what they really specialize in and are good at. But they have lots of other great, good quality tested supplements that I use on a regular basis and recommend as well. But we'll get into that in just a second. But I want to focus on the Scottsdale Magnesium Study because this is awesome. So kind of tell me how many people were in the study and what the study said and.
So it was a 91-person study, which is a fairly good-sized study, especially done on a finished good. The Scottsdale Magnesium Study looked at 3 different things. I should say it was published in the Journal of American College of Nutrition. So a respected,
resource,
peer-reviewed, great. That journal actually has something called the Mildred Seelig Award, and she was a magnesium researcher since deceased, but she wrote a fantastic book about magnesium. And so it's like, wow, the connection, the legacy of magnesium and being in that journal was especially an honor. So as I was saying, it was a human clinical trial, 91 patients, comparing MAG-SRT versus placebo. And thampfully, we beat placebo.
Awesome. That's always a nice bonus
I know,
to a study, yes.
Okay, well, we got that going for us.
Perfect, okay.
The first marker that we looked at was magnesium serum. So that's basically hour 0, hour 4, and hour 8. So you sort of check the baseline magnesium serum. And really what they were looking to see was, does the tablet break down and get through the intestinal wall into the bloodstream?
And what kind of magnesium were you using for your study?
Well, we used MAG-SRT, if I can grab
please.
It's backwards. It's reversed out. So if I turn it upside, does that? No, that doesn't
totally
fix it.
helps.
Give me a mirror, stat.
I know, okay.
I just wanted to say stat.
You reached your dream.
So the type of magnesium that we use in MAG-SRT is dimagnesium malate. It's in patented form. It's basically 2 molecules of magnesium bound to malic acid. And it basically has great properties, has good absorbability. So we knew it was going to absorb because their previous data shows that that's the case. We are the first ones to do it in a time release matrix, and the time release is made up of like plant fibers. The idea was, okay, so at hour 0, we have this much magnesium in the serum. Sorry, I got confused there for a second. Where are we at hour 4 and where are we at hour 8? Because it's an 8-hour extended release. And it was a 22% increase in magnesium serum. So
over how long of a period of time?
Over 4 hours, 22% was the peak, and then I think it was like 18% at 8 hours.
So what that's saying is that's proving that the magnesium is actually making it from the capsule inside the body into the bloodstream.
Exactly. So now the next thing that we looked at was RBC, red blood cell magnesium. And maybe you can explain sort of the difference.
Yes. So red blood cell magnesium, I actually use that when I check magnesium levels very frequently. So any RBC stands for red blood cell. Red blood cells are around in the bloodstream for about 120 days or so. So it's about a 3-month-ish or so marker. So instead of just serum, which is a snapshot of what's in the blood right now, this is telling us now a little bit more about magnesium stores.
Yes.
So, and that's why it's important.
Assimilation is sort of the word that was used. So absorbability, mag serum, assimilation is RBC. And at 90 days, there was a 30% increase in RBC magnesium.
Awesome. That's huge, by the way. That is huge. Magnesium deficiency is so common. I've seen some statistics saying, up to 85% of the population is magnesium deficient in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah, it's just a mineral that is not that common in the food supply. So for instance, one of the things that we did last summer, almonds, ounce for ounce, are one of the most common sort of magnesium nutrient dense foods that you can get. So we took a bag of organic almonds, sent it to a lab to look at the mineral content.
Okay.
And in 1 ounce of almonds, there was 71 milligrams of magnesium. Now, to put that in perspective,
wow. That's so little.
I know the RDI for magnesium is 400 milligrams per day. So you would need to basically be eating about 6 ounces of almonds per day.
That's a lot of calories, a lot of
That's
fat.
like 1,000 calories. Look, I love almonds, and I eat them.
I do too, but yeah.
But to purely try, but if you're only basically kind of one of the people that comes back, and I hear this a lot, it's like, well, can't I just get enough from food? It's like, well, almonds, ounce for ounce, one of the highest amounts of magnesium, and you have to eat 6 ounces of almonds to get just the RDI.
Right, exactly. And then the RDI is really kind of based on the minimum amount to not create disease. It doesn't mean the amount to create optimal health, just so everyone's clear on that. And 400 milligrams, that's pretty modest. I have some patients, and even including myself, I have a pretty high magnesium requirement. Like some people have 1,000 or even 2,000 milligrams of magnesium. Now there's certain conditions that will create an increased need for magnesium, like if you're exercising a lot, if you're sweating it out, because you will sweat out minerals. Also, if you have blood sugar issues, like if you have type 2 diabetes, things like that, use a lot of magnesium there. Times of stress, you also use a lot of magnesium. And then there's also some times when we are therapeutically giving more magnesium on purpose as well. And so, and it's really hard to get in food. Of course, I always talk to my patients about where can you get your supplements from food, because it's great to say you're on the least amount of pills possible. And that's always the goal here at this practice. Like, we want you on the least amount of pills possible, prescriptions or otherwise, because we want that. More pills doesn't signify health. But I'll tell you what, one of the most common prescription supplements that we end up keeping is magnesium, because of exactly what Patrick just said. It's very hard to get enough of it in food, and a lot of people's requirements are just higher. And one of the reasons it's hard to get in foods now is also because of the soil quality. The percentage of minerals in the soil has decreased. So this has really changed over time, and this has thus created the kind of deficiency that we're seeing. So if the few supplements that people end up on for long-term health, magnesium very commonly is one of them.
The same Journal of the American College of Nutrition, I believe in either 2004 or 1994, the years escaping me, but they published a study that showed essentially nutrient deficiency of maybe however many different lettuce and tomatoes and stuff like that, and they showed, I think it was like a 38% decline of sort of historically what had been there. So, and it all really goes back to soil health.
Yes,
soil
and the farming
health
practices have changed so much.
Incredibly important. So, magnesium. Actually, what's funny is I think the word supplement is often overlooked, but it is in fact the right word. This is a dietary supplement. It is in addition to your diet. So you want to eat good food, good whole foods. Chances are, though, you need to supplement your diet with a dietary supplement.
Yes, exactly. And that's the importance of, like you detailed in the Scottsdale study, of testing. And I do test in my patients all the time, because there's so many symptoms of magnesium deficiency, but they can kind of masquerade as symptoms for other things too. So you can't really go down a list very accurately and say, oh, you definitely need more magnesium, or maybe you don't, you're deficient, or I'm sorry, you're sufficient, not deficient. But we have to test for it. I do these tests in the office here all the time. And magnesium deficiency is, like we said, very, very common. And so some of the symptoms that I see very commonly in this practice, if magnesium levels are low, that are remedied by getting enough magnesium into the body via a supplement. And of course, like Patrick said, food, we always talk about food too, are really things like constipation is huge. If you don't have enough magnesium, bowel motility is going to, slow down. It's a big problem, because the ways your body detoxify are poop, pee, sweat, and breath. If you're not pooping on a regular basis, a daily bowel movement's a minimum for, adequate elimination. So there's constipation is super common. muscle aches is a huge one. And this can be the athlete having a hard time recovering from their workout. And it can also be as significant as very sick patients. And what I see very commonly, though, are people more in the fibromyalgia category. There's actually some great research on like magnesium malate, specifically the malic acid, and fibromyalgia.
Yeah.
So you can't beat it.
Yeah. The nighttime leg cramps is actually sort of, we had about a kind of light bulb moment about 6 months ago where we were working on the content for a marketing campaign, an advertisement, and my wife, who is a business partner at JigSaw, Ashley LaRue. Hi, Ash.
Hi,
Ash. She's also the lead singer of the JigSaw band, so any of the videos, the Sweet Magnesium and all that kind of stuff.
Awesome.
No More Cramps with Mag SRT, a parody song that we did that was sort of inspired by, she was reading through the online reviews and she kind of yelled at me from the other room and was like, we should just tell people that this helps with leg cramps. And I was like, well, we can't talk about leg cramps because it's a disease. She's like, that's a disease? And I was kind of like, oh.
It's a symptom.
Yeah.
Right.
It's not, leg cramps is not a disease, especially like those nighttime waking up like you're, sort of Charlie horse cringe.
Yeah.
And the interesting thing is there's a lot of good data, and thankfully we have a lot of anecdotal data now as well from our online reviews of that being such an easy to spot magnesium deficiency symptom that sort of often is involved with like constipation as well.
Yep.
Because really magnesium, as Mildred Seelig, who I mentioned earlier, she called magnesium, it's the mineral of motion.
Yep. I like to say it's a master relaxer.
That's great. That's awesome.
You can use that.
We're going to take that.
Okay, totally take it. Well, yeah, because it relaxes like the bowel, it relaxes muscles, it's good for insomnia, it's good for anxiety, it's so many things. And like I was mentioning, other medical diseases, like I very commonly see a magnesium deficiency with blood sugar imbalances as well. So it's involved in over 300 different metabolic reactions in the body, and even more enzymatic reactions, isn't that right? Thousands.
Yeah. Morley Robbins, aka Magnesium Man, medical researcher savant, amazing. And he has tied it to, it's like 3,157 enzymatic reactions. And the commonly cited source of, it's involved in 300 chemical reactions, that traces back to a best guess by like a Harvard medical professor in the 50s who was like, this mineral seems important. It's probably 300 or so.
Oh, no.
So the number is actually like 10 times that of what is commonly cited. It's an incredibly interesting mineral.
Yeah, definitely, for sure. And there's a lot of different forms of magnesium too. So magnesium malate. So I like to kind of break down the different types of magnesium like this. This is how my simple brain works. If I think of magnesium citrate for constipation, because it is now. Magnesium citrate, I pretty much will only give to people that have like constipation, because it will make you go. Like if you have a magnesium deficiency, you're probably going to reach your bowel tolerance before you can get enough magnesium in. So I'll use other forms to replace besides citrate. But citrate's good for constipation. Magnesium glycinate is a great general form, and that's what's in there.
Yeah, that's correct. The Magnow. Oh, this one's backwards too. Sorry, everybody. So the really Magnow Tart Raspberry Lemonade has 200 milligrams of magnesium glycinate.
Yes. So like I was saying, is a great general absorbable form of magnesium for kind of covers the basis of a lot of magnesium symptoms.
It does.
Then of course magnesium malate, like we've been talking about, is really good for muscle. So M-malate muscles. That's how
That's awesome how you put that together. I like that. No, that's really good. That's actually really clever.
Yeah, and so and then the last good absorbable form of magnesium to talk about is one called magnesium L-threonate. And it's just the last one. It's the brain magnesium. I can't think of an L or a T for the brain, but it's just the, and then of course there's other lesser quality non-absorbable forms of magnesium that are not very well absorbed anyway, like magnesium oxide, for example. And when you see that in a supplement, that's a huge red flag actually, because that's one of the just cheapest and least absorbable forms of, magnesium, and gives people a lot of bowel symptoms too.
I just thought of a mnemonic device for that one.
Oh no.
Okay. Magnesium oxide is in magnesium. Oh no.
Love it. Okay, we'll add that to the list.
All right. Making this up on the fly.
Perfect.
Yeah, magnesium. And there is a study, I want to say it's maybe like 1999. I can give you references for just so that people don't, I'm not actually just making this up.
Sure.
But it looked, and magnesium oxide has basically like a 4% bioavailability, absorbability to it.
Exactly.
So it's the least absorbable.
Form.
Yeah, it's not that good.
And the forms of the minerals in, the JigSaw supplements, not even just the minerals, but the other nutrients they have in here. For example, the standard SRT. So SRT stands for Sustained Release Technology, just in case you didn't know. But the B vitamins that are in here, basically, they're all in the good activated forms of the B vitamins, and the magnesium and any other mineral product that JigSaw is using in their products. They're the Trax minerals. And so, tell us a little bit about Trax and why that's important.
Created by a company named Albion, which has since merged and become Balchem, based in Utah, just a little bit north of Salt Lake City. Great company. Started by, it's basically still in the family. It's got to be 75 years old, something like that. So a lot of great history, but the Trax is this amino acid chelating system that essentially makes the mineral more absorbable and more tolerable to the GI. So their magnesium glycinate has just reams and reams of data and hundreds of thousands of very happy customers taking it. And really the best thing, the hardest challenge with magnesium is that it's hydrophilic. Fancy word that means it draws water like a magnet. So if you take a whole bunch into your GI tract and it's not the good form of magnesium, like magnesium oxide,
right?
If you're taking magnesium you're going to have an have to sprint away.
Correct. And that's why it causes loose stools.
That's the technical reason for why it causes loose stools, because it just draws a whole bunch of water into the bowel. So really kind of the origin story behind Mag SRT relates to my father, who he and I started JigSaw Health together. And he had a number of GI issues and also a number of magnesium deficiency symptoms. So he's reading a health book and he's like, well, it seems like I'm magnesium deficient. I have all these things. So he goes to the drugstore, buys sort of the first thing off the shelf that he can get. And he probably bought a magnesium And so he's like, on top of his already sort of complicated GI issues, which he also then used probiotics and digestive enzymes to improve his GI tract. But getting magnesium in and sort of staying was a really big challenge for him. So sort of the theory was, well, if I could get a much more absorbable form of magnesium using one of these materials from Albion, and if I could slow it down, a lot of times we think, I want it to work as fast as possible. Right? But magnesium, you want to spread it out, you want to slow it down, you want to get it a chance to get into the body without having to take one pill like every 3 hours.
Right.
My dad is sort of lazy in that way, right? This
is how sustained release technology came about. Awesome.
Yes,
okay.
Exactly.
Right,
so that's the backstory, the origin story
that's
of
a great
Mag SRT.
Okay, perfect. And so, we've been here talking about the many reasons why magnesium is amazing and how important it is to make sure that you have a good quality, good source of magnesium.
Yep.
But I also want to mention there's a couple other things that I like to use on a regular basis that are JigSaw products that aren't necessarily magnesium. One of them is this. And these are, again, sorry for the backwardness. These
Electrolyte Supreme.
Right. So I have here in the office, I have an infrared sauna that we use for detoxification. And there's actually, we'll get into the there's a laundry list of medical benefits for using infrared saunas. Right. But all exercise, all heat, all sweating, you do lose, minerals and electrolytes.
Mm-hmm.
So every patient that comes and gets a sauna session, gets an electrolyte, an opportunity to take one of your electrolyte powders afterwards to replenish. And then, of course, these patients, I'm also, monitoring their minerals, right, in their bloodstream as we're doing, especially if we're doing through a detox, like anything that's, doing any type of oral, chelation, getting rid of heavy metals, because when you get rid of heavy metals, your body doesn't know, like, oh, I'm just going to get rid of the bad ones and keep the good ones. Like, you actually lose a good amount of minerals when you do that. And so we have to then, of course, make sure we're replenishing the body. And of course, because we use so much magnesium on a daily basis, that's a key one.
Yeah.
The other electrolyte that I like is the adrenal supplement that has this it's kind of like salt based, sodium based. And because if you have if adrenal health isn't great, especially if cortisol is low, particularly, or if you're just losing, salt again through sweating, exercise, sauna, things like that, replenishing it. I used to tell my patients do like some sea salt in water, and compliance with that is not that great because
right.
it's not that amazing to do.
Right.
But that powder works really well.
Yeah, it's called the JigSaw Adrenal Cocktail, and it's based on a recipe sort of found online, a do-it-yourself recipe, and you Google search adrenal cocktail, and you see that people were mixing cream of tartar, which is basically a potassium bicarbonate, with sea salt, which is obviously pretty heavily sodium based, but also has chloride, which is obviously an electrolyte, and then if you get a good sea salt, you're sort of getting some trace minerals and stuff into that. And then they were mixing that into orange juice for both the potassium content of OJ and also the sort of whole food vitamin C aspect of orange juice. Well, seeing that, we sort of had, well, what if we could make something like this to make it a little easier
portable,
to take.
And without all the extra sugar of drinking a glass of orange juice.
Which is actually one of the biggest things that a lot of people like. They're like, I don't want all the sugar of the OJ. So the formula is really pretty elegant in that it's simple. I will warn you, it does not taste the best. The bicarbonate gives it a very bitterness to it.
There's kind of no way to get around the bicarb. Yeah.
We thought about, do we maybe add some flavoring agents in it? And we use flavoring in the Electrolyte Supreme, but for the adrenal cocktail, we decided we didn't want to. We wanted to leave the flavoring out. Just super clean, super this is what it is. And we've had great responses from a number of the people, especially in the magnesium advocacy.
You can actually mix one of these with the adrenal cocktail if you want to make it flavored.
I have actually never done that before. I'm surprised. But that's a really good idea because these taste great.
Even the Mag Now powder, you could, if you're taking extra magnesium anyway, you could just, get a win-win out of the situation for a little bit of flavor. But I do like that one for the replacement of, sodium and bicarbonate.
Absolutely. It's great for the adrenals, and both potassium and bicarbonate in particular are very good sort of cofactors, friends of magnesium. As are the B vitamins that you mentioned in the Mag SRT. So those things that are cofactor friends, if you will, of the magnesium is why we can get away with being the magnesium people and then doing things that are not specifically just magnesium based. Right, exactly.
Awesome. Well, Patrick, thank you so much for joining me today.
Absolutely.
So guys, this is Patrick Sullivan from JigSaw Health. So tell us where they can find out more about your products.
Well, we're based here in Scottsdale, Arizona, just up the road, thankfully, from Dr. Emily Park. You can find us online at jigsawhealth.com. We also, you can find us on Facebook and the Instagram and the Twitter, and basically just Google JigSaw Health and you will easily find us.
Perfect.
Or Google Mag SRT or Scottsdale Magnesium Study, and you can find some stuff about that. In fact, can I jump in on one thing?
Please.
So on the Scottsdale Magnesium Study, really, there were two other factors that we looked at.
Oh, sure.
And one was related to magnesium deficiency symptoms. After 90 days, there was a 63% reduction.
Ooh, that's important. Okay.
Yeah,
awesome.
in deficiency symptoms as reported. And that was really the big need for comparing to placebo. Of course, placebo is not going to do much of anything to mag serum or mag RBC, but the deficiency symptoms, seeing that huge difference between basically people self-reporting things like muscle cramps, things like bowel movement times and stuff like that. That was a big move in specifically relating to bowel movements. 9 out of 10 people tolerated magnesium SRT without any bowel issues or loose stools.
Side effects.
And it's 500 milligrams per day. So we have joked with our magnesium toilet paper ads. You not. But now we actually have some real data that shows I think it was like 91 or 92%, but it was 9 out of 10 people had no issues taking 500 milligrams per day. If you were to take 500 milligrams of magnesium malate in non-time release, non-sustained release, it's going to go right through you. And I know that because I've done it.
Right.
I've done the experiment. We're like, I wonder how important this time release is. Well, let's see how we can do.
Yes,
Oh my
and
gosh.
if you notice, that's why a lot of magnesium supplements, like whether it's citrate or malate, they come in like 125 milligram pills, like each pill.
Yeah.
And that's exactly why. That's like on purpose. You either have to take multiple ones throughout the day, or you just take, a product that has a time release in it, and then it's just it's over about 8 hours or so. Is that correct?
Yeah, it's an 8-hour curve where about, I think, 40% of it is released within the first 2 hours, and then the remaining 60% sort of breaks down over the next. What would that be? 6 hours.
Perfect. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Awesome.
it's very cool.
Awesome. Anything else you want to add about magnesium or JigSaw?
Well, I do want to ask you about your class coming up, your master class.
Oh, you saw that.
Yeah,
Okay,
I've seen that on your post. Tell us more about that.
Cool. Okay, awesome. So I have, for the very first time, I'm doing an in-person class. I'm calling it a master class because it's going to be 2 hours of in-person lecture by me. And it's called 7 Weeks to Your Healthiest Self. And I decided to kind of come up with that. There's a need for this type of medicine, for functional medicine, in the community. However, it might not be reachable for everyone. And this class is $99. It's me 2 hours in person.
Wow.
And I walk you through step by step each week what to do to not just with nutrition. It's nutrition, sleep, exercise, stress management. And I go through the details on how to really make long-lasting, changes in your health, because honestly, lifestyle is about 80% of it. It's stuff that gets blown off all the time, but it's about 80% of health, truly. And so the class is going to include an ebook that I've written. It's going to include resources, my favorite paleo resource list. It's going to include recipes.
Yeah, you do a lot of recipes.
Yeah, and actually, the list that I'm giving with this, the 10 recipe ebook, are all my original recipes, as in mine, like ones that I created myself, in custom created in the kitchen. But it's really for people who are looking to get healthier, gain more energy, figure out what their food sensitivities are, because there's an entire process of food eliminations with reintroductions.
Yes.
For the scientificness of figuring out what the sensitivities actually are.
That's really good.
But gut health, hormone balance, energy, mood, so many benefits come from going through the 7-week process, and I'll be able to walk you through exactly how. So if you want to sign up, you can do a couple things. You can call the office here at 602-892-4727. And of course, you could also find out more information on my website at dremilypark.com. Patrick, thanks so much for joining me.
Thank you for having me. This is great. See you soon.
Bye.